culture and what's actually happening to create the culture, as far as economics, society, policy, etc., I would say that yes, we have the trap that is the cycle of drugs, incarceration, and violence that happens in low-income urban communities. But there's also this trap that some people call the New Jim Crow, which is the series of policies that are made by our legislators that come from that war on drugs history that make it so that once you're a convicted felon, I mean, in most states, you can't get public housing, you can't get food stamps, you can't get public assistance for an education if you want to go to higher ed and get a bachelor's degree, or any other kind of post-high school degree. There's a lot of, you gotta click that box that says you've been incarcerated, and that is gonna make employers just willfully discriminate against you and have it be legal. So I would argue that that's kind of like a bigger trap that's also within it. And just to drop a quick stat, the United States currently spends $80 billion a year on corrections, and we have a 50% average recidivism rate, which means that half of that 80 billion is literally being wasted because people are coming back into prison and not being able to re-enter society, get jobs, get educations, and be able to be productive members of society and better themselves. So are we addicted to incarceration? Like, is that a far-fetched idea to say? And from that, what is feeding a trap mentality that allows this to happen, whether it's on the streets of Vine City, or if it's in New Jersey, or if it's in Virginia Beach, right? Or if it's on Wall Street. What is the trap mentality that's allowing this to happen?
And hopping off of that, one of the important statistics is that America is 5% of the global population, but we hold 25% of the world's prisoners, which is, in a large number of them are due to this war on drugs, so nonviolent offense, and even more than that, it's for possession and not trafficking. So just holding, just possessing the drugs. And the drugs never leave the community, right? The war on drugs is 40 years of America's longest running American war is the war on drugs. That has only resulted in this mass incarceration. So that is what we're trying to frame with this trap mentality.
So what do you think, guys, is feeding a trap mentality from any angle? And how do we get out of that trap?
I think first and foremost, it's like you always hear the system. Like, oh, the system's broken. I actually pulled this from Coach's book, Between the World and Me. The system is not broken. It's working perfectly fine. Everybody in here is fuel for the system. Like, it's true, unfortunately. Like, jails are a very lucrative business. You need people for that, so how do we get you there? You just strip you of things. It's not too hard to guide once we remove things from you. We set up barriers for you to vote, barriers for you to get education, food. I mean, you mentioned Georgia's growing incarceration. A couple of years ago when I was first going to school out there, Georgia has some of the worst public schools in the nation. That's not an accident. It's not an accident. And there's teachers who are out of work. So like, what's that? Like, it's not none of this is a mistake. People, I want to say like it gets called the higher ups. It's greed, it's money. I think that is heavily influential on why people have less, why people can visualize less, and their aspirations are muted most of the times, and their goals are diluted because they've never even seen it. And what you do see is prisons. It's like, I think it was Walmart's pulling out of different states in the middle of the country. Walmart is one of the...
It's the biggest corporation in the world. As of this year.
It's amazing what they can do. And it's like unheard of, the type of business that they carry on. And they're leaving certain states in place, and people are like, where am I going to work? They're looking to work in prisons. So you figure you lost your job at Walmart, you're either about to work for the prison or go to prison. It's crazy, but it's built like that. Not to like dilute any of the points I made by making like a really cliche reference, but you guys seen like The Matrix, right? Or I hope everyone's seen it. It's like, all right. I was like, yeah, I think I've seen it. Unfortunately, like everybody here is not like, you guys are all legitimate glitches. Like you're not in jail. You guys aren't outside right now using drugs. You guys aren't outside committing violent acts and various other crimes that they've listed against you. You guys are all outliers, and that's unfortunate. That really the people who are in jail, they should be the glitches, but they're not. I think if you talk about what starts a trap mentality, it is by far the policies that are in place is by far systematic and generational oppression, and not just racial, economic. The barriers that they're trying to put up on the internet, like there's a lot of things in place that are trying to hold people back. And I think that that is the beginning of, we just put the word trap mentality to it. I think it's the beginning to oppression.
Yeah, I would also say, as far as trap mentality, I think everybody has a trap mentality. It doesn't necessarily have to be drugs or, the hood or, the things that go on in the streets. I believe, and if you ask me, I'm going to tell you, I think that is godlessness. I think that it is sin. I think, it's greed and having a love for money and materialistic kind of things. That's what speaks to me when I look at it. The Bible says, a lot of people think that the Bible says money is the root of all evil, but what it actually says is the love of money is the root of all evil. So it's like, what are you willing to do for this? And I'm going to tell you now, in my opinion, you see how the game is played. You either gonna get it or you ain't. We have been talking about slavery. I know when I seen Ferguson and I seen that sign someone held up and it said Black Lives Matter, I thought to myself instantly, in 2015, I got to tell somebody that a black life matters. And that's when I knew, I felt that we were past the point of talking. Now, I'm not condoning any kind of violence, but to have to tell someone that Black Lives Matter in 2015, I know something was amiss. So, I really believe that it's just greed, it's ego, and godlessness. And just so everyone knows where I stand, and I must say I am a true believer in Jesus Christ. And I believe that he is the Redeemer, and I believe that he makes everything new and whole. And I think people need to get back to the basics. Everything we've been doing, we have tried over and over and over again. I don't even believe anyone's going to come up with a legislation that's going to make any sense. I believe we need to share in each other's burdens. I do believe we need to stand together. I do believe that we need to, get laws passed and things like that. But even after they're passed, there are going to be loopholes, and you might run up on a cop, he might protect and serve, and he might shoot you in the face. You never know. So I'm just saying, from my perspective and point of view, either you're going to get it or you not. And you better teach your kids, especially if you're out here having babies.
Me, trap, if you think about the word, most traps, mouse trap, the trap catching grease, stuff like that is something that's stuck. So until we change that thought process, that's exactly what it is. We still talking about selling dope like there's a new system or it's new dope or something. It's the same mindset and the same things that continue to happen. And if you can go to any hood around here and it's the same thing, and it starts as an early age. First it starts with, dang, I just got the LeBrons, I want the LeBrons. How can I get the LeBrons? And you start that way with an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So we're talking about the school systems failing. What about the after school program? What do they have to do? Like, what are they supposed to do? Okay, I'm gonna sit in the house and look on the internet and listen to trap music. And then Jeezy saying trap or die, I want to trap or die. It starts playing with your mind. If you don't have anybody, like you're saying, telling you that that's wrong or do better, what are you supposed to do? It's almost like you're trapped already. But then when you drive past most ball fields, when most of us was probably younger, you saw a coach, a teacher out there playing baseball, shooting hoops or something. Drive by one now, what do you see? Empty fields. Because now it's so expensive to play AAU basketball that you can't afford it unless you got a good jump shot. Then they pluck you out and leave everybody else to fend for themselves. And then you're back at the struggle, because most people that have been incarcerated, usually they don't want to go back, but they have no choice, because I'm nothing against McDonald's, wherever, stuff like that. You do what you got to do, but at the same time, when you waiting 2 weeks to get paid, as a city employee, it's not cool. When some people can go out there and say, I can go hit the block and make that one night. So it's a mindset of being trapped, but some people are willing to take that risk because they don't know no better. As an adult, I feel like I'd rather go work that 9 to 5 because I want to be able to lay down and go to sleep at night. I don't want to keep ducking and dodging bullets, ducking and dodging whatever. I want to lay down, be comfortable. And some people feel like it's worth the risk, so they mentally trapped. So change the mindset and you'll change all.
So touching base off what you two said about especially, materialistic things, especially with, kids are out here getting killed over Jordans. It's a whole mental trap thing, and, standing in line at 5 a.m. for a pair of shoes, I would never understand. No shade. But, no shade. But yeah, it's definitely, a mental thing. It's not only with drugs, it's also with clothing, it's also with, the popular thing now. You know what I mean? So, in order for people to, escape the trap, they just have to mentally tell themselves that it's okay to go a different route, and it's okay not to, do what your friends are doing. Not to sound all cliche, but, your friend drove off of a bridge, everything your mom told you when you were growing up. But it is true, and you want to go your own way. You want to, do the uncool thing. You want to do, just things on your own that may not seem right to your friends or may not seem cool, but it definitely is a mental thing, being stuck in a trap. So, yeah, just, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so we've been talking about the trap mentality. What we're trying to do is to frame conversations like this to start thinking about freedom, right?
Right.
We've been so caught up on this trap, and like you said, dope is nothing new. It's so how do we start thinking about ways out the trap? How do we start thinking about ways of freedom? That's what we're trying to do. Our curriculum is called the Help Increase the Peace Project because it's inspired by Dr. King's final book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? So that's what we're gonna do in the last part to wrap this up, is to talk about a freedom mentality and how we can use hip hop for that.
Right.